There's something special about just sitting and watching a cork like this.
Oh, here we go. There we go.
Love watching that rod load up.
I know, it's so stinking fun. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than fun. I keep saying it's fun, it's fun, it's fun. You know why? Because it is.
Welcome to AnglingBuzz TV, presented by Fleet Farm. I'm Troy Linder. On today's show, we're going to be talking about springtime fishing for walleye and crappie. Primarily, we're going to be focusing on crappie, even though for walleye fishing here in Minnesota, it's not open. The border waters are. Wisconsin just opened, and the Dakotas, of course, is open all season long. The shore fishing there has been red hot. But we're going to focus on crappie fishing right now, and out in the field, we're joined by Minnesota guide Brad Hawthorne. So Brad, how's the crappie bite been going, and have you been doing a lot of fishing for them?
Absolutely. We've been crappie fishing on a number of lakes. You know, everyone thinks when ice goes out that the crappies just immediately run towards, you know, something like this behind me, bulrushes or whatever, and they don't. The crappies stay in the same places that they were in winter. So those basin areas, they start to creep up towards the edges if you can find transitions. And when I say deep, you know, if the lake basin is in 40 feet of water, you're gonna find those fish from 40 to 30, maybe 28 feet in those area lakes. And that when that water gets to about 50 is when you'll see them kind of vacate the basin areas and start holding right where they're gonna spawn. And that is kind of the key to finding crappies. Is just because you have open water does not mean that those fish are gonna run up shallow in the next week. You know, you need that water temp to get them into that spawning mode.
Well, we know that cold fronts are very common in the upper Midwest, especially during the spring. Brad, how does cold fronts and weather affect crappie fishing this time of year?
So weather, temperature change and weather as it pertains to crappies is basically what you're gonna see on crappies on your side imaging. Like first, when I go out to look for crappies, I got my side imaging set on kill at 80 feet on either side and identify where the fish is. Then I drop 360 to shrink the zone down. But what you'll see on different weather days on cold fronts is the fish are usually always suspended. So on rain days or, you know, cold fronts, the fish will just sink down. It's really hard, in my opinion, to find inactive crappies during that ramp up to the spawn. I mean, you can always usually get a limit if you focus. It may take you all day, but you're gonna get them. So if the fish are usually high, it means they're gonna bite. And that's what I look for in lakes, is not all the crappies are in one school. Some schools will be real close to the bottom on weather days and cold fronts, and some schools will be up. And it's all about those bite windows. If you have 6 or 8 schools of fish to pick through, just keep driving around until you see that school that's up and target those fish.
Another question, what is your key presentation to target springtime crappies?
Key presentation for spring crappies is, it's kind of a long breakdown, to be honest with you. I carry 4 rods with me, 2 shorter rods and 2 longer rods, and those consist of what I call kind of a Hawthorne rig, where I have a bullet sinker, swivel, and then fluorocarbon. And that is my vertical jigging / pitching setup for crappies. And I have 2 of those set up, one with braid, one with fluoro, and then I have a bobber set up for when you have to literally let that bait hang in front of the fish. And it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 punch. If the crappies will let you sit over the top of them in the boat and they're not, you know, affected by the sonar, you can vertical jig fish all day long. But if you need to get away from them and pitch them because they won't let you sit on top of them, that's where those pitching rods come in and those bobber rods come in. So basically, I'm running braid to swivel and then 3 or 4 feet of fluorocarbon, and then usually a mimic minnow or a gypsy jig is kind of my go-to presentation.
Well, thank you, Brad, for sharing some great information, and thank you for your time. We'll let you get back to fishing there, and hopefully that helps our viewers catch a lot more crappie this time of year. Well, stay with us. We have a short commercial break. When we come back, we have our Timely Topics feature, Corking for Crappie, as AnglingBuzz continues.
In 2020, Minnesota watercraft inspectors found that 97% of boaters were doing their best to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species. In short, drain plugs were removed. No standing water was inside the boat, and no zebra mussels or plants were found on the boat or trailer. Thanks for following these simple habit-forming rules. Clean aquatic plants and animals from boats, trailers, and equipment. Drain all water from motors and live wells. Remove all boat plugs and dispose of unused bait in the trash.
You can't choose the weather, but you can choose to dress for it. Introducing Blackfish Performance Rain Gear. Utilizing patented event technology, this advanced membrane allows body heat and vapors to escape while offering 100% waterproof protection with an exceptional combination of waterproof and breathability ratings. Blackfish Rain Gear keeps you dry all day. Whether on the tournament trail or chasing weekend walleyes, choose Blackfish because you can't choose the weather.
Tired of doing this?
Yeah!
Get a can of this and spend more time doing this.
Got one! Yeah! Whoa!
Marine Pro Fuel Treatment helps marine engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Seafoam! Marine Pro, new from the makers of Seafoam. Marine Pro is a complete marine fuel system treatment. Just pour it in. Fast starts and smooth running power have never been this easy. Available now at Fleet Farm.
Simple, fast, and easy. This automatic launching and loading system on boat-to-trailer.com makes unloading and loading your boat a breeze on both roller or bunk trailer configurations. This system is a simple one-bolt install. No more hanging over the boat, no more cranking in the boat, and no more wet feet. Speed your boat ramp time by visiting boat-to-trailer.com.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. Today's episode is all about springtime crappie fishing. And in our Timely Topics feature, we're going to join Jeremy Smith. He's out in the field. He's going to show you some great information and techniques about corking for crappie.
There is something special about just sitting and watching a cork like this. We located this shoreline that had pretty optimal habitat that looked like it'd be good for the fish to come up and spawn. So did our homework and just come and now just to be able to relax and watch the float and know that's a high percentage confidence area and baits. It's going to be a good rest of the night.
Oh, here we go. There we go.
I love watching that rod load up.
It is so stinking fun. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than fun. I keep saying it's fun, it's fun, it's fun. You know why? Because it is.
So when you get on a pre-spawn bite like this, the concentrations of fish that you can end up landing on is really phenomenal. You know, we're catching fish just every cast right now, but once they start to spawn, there's only so many spots up there on the shoreline for them to be. So, you know, you can pick them off as you go, but when they're out here on the pre-spawn, man, they can get in big groups and really are easy to catch.
Oh, this one feels a little better, Matthew. Man, they're just loaded. So many people get jacked up about fishing crappies when they're up on their nests, which of course is a good time getting to sight fish and see fish like this hit a bait. And you can see, as dark as this one is, he's getting ready to spawn. But it's not quite spawn time yet. And pre-spawn for any fish can just be dynamite. So these fish right now, I'm guessing this has got some bog, the shoreline, and there's some bulrush, some wood in the water. So they'll come up around here and they'll end up making beds and spawning. But right now it's a sharp drop to the basin. It's got good cabbage, vertical cabbage. I mean, good standing cover in 6 to 8 feet of water. If you find that stuff in the spring, it's a magnet for crappies, it's a magnet for sunnies. It's also great for pike, bass, and walleyes. So look for that kind of stuff. Nice hard bottom on the shoreline, little roll, 6 to 8 feet. It's got good cover, and that's where we're catching the panfish. Not up in the shallow on that first lip and that standing cover. Catching springtime crappies. And what's so great about it is the system, of course, is so darn simple. Typically, it involves a jig, and I love the VMC Moon Eye. If you haven't fished these, you'll fall in love with them. It's got a cool head design. It's that aspirin head, so it's super versatile, but it's also got a dynamite hook for holding on to these things. But then when it comes to the cork side, there's so many different options on what to choose for a cork. So we're going to share with you why certain corks perform better in certain situations. When it comes to floats or corks, there are basically two different styles. One is a slip and one is a clip. Today we're using the classic clip float. This works best when you're fishing sparse, submerged cover. We simply clip out a measured amount of line. In this case, the jig is roughly 3 to 4 feet below the float. This allows you to work the bait back and it will stay at that predetermined depth. The slip float, on the other hand, works its best in heavy emergent cover. The compact system lands into tough to reach places and the jig drops directly below the float.
You know, as a guy that works in a school system as an educator, I know the value of putting in your work. Fishing a cork with my young kids is a great way to introduce kids. You get an opportunity to teach the simple basic mechanics of casting with something that's a little heavier like a cork, and get them into the simple concept of a hook set also, something that you can teach when the bobber starts going down. So bobber fishing is definitely a great way to introduce people to fishing. It was the way I was introduced. I'm sure it was the way Jeremy was introduced to pan fishing as well, so great way to get them.
That's a very effective technique for catching crappie for sure, especially during the springtime right now. Well, stay with us. We have a short commercial break. When we come back, we have our Buzz Bite reports as Angling Buzz continues.
Looking for the perfect fishing vacation? Leech Lake, Minnesota. There's over 112,000 acres of water to explore with fantastic walleye, bass, pike, panfish, and trophy muskies. The fishing opportunities are endless. Leech Lake has it all with over 30 resorts, lodges, campgrounds, and hotels line its pristine shores. Plan your trip. It's Minnesota's original up-north vacation destination.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
You don't know their names yet, but you will.
Customer first. That's their mission at Don DeLinger Auto. It's not just about the sale. It's about giving you peace of mind for as long as you own that vehicle. Don DeLinger is home to the lifetime powertrain warranty for new and pre-owned vehicles, plus 10 years of roadside assistance. They have an incredible variety of the most popular vehicles and offer pickup and drop-off for service. Stop in to experience the Don DeLinger difference today.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. It's time for this week's Buzz Bite reports. First, we'll head off to North Dakota with Jason Mitchell.
You know, this year it was a really dry winter, so there's not a lot of flow coming into Devil's Lake, and so a lot of the traditional shore fishing spots haven't been as good yet just because the water isn't moving. And so it's been a different year, and so what I've been finding is because there is no current, it's all about water temperature, in the sense that I've been spending a lot of time just looking around for warmer water, and that means getting those backwater protected shallow bays, and then if there's a little bit of wind blowing that warmer surface water onto one side of it, that's where we've been finding fish. And you can catch fish doing a few different things. You can definitely pitch jigs, you can definitely pitch plastics. On the right day with the right fish, you could also pitch a crankbait and catch a fish. But by and large, if you can find leeches below a slip bobber, that's where it's at right now. A lot of times, you can find fish, going through and pitching a jig and a leech, or jigging a minnow, or jigging plastic, catch maybe one fish, maybe get a follow, go back in there and slip bobber and catch more. But right now, look for that warmer water. Get back in those bays, the best leeches you can find, which are really hard to come by right now, and that's what's been catching fish.
Thanks, Jason. Now let's head over to Brad Durek, who's been enjoying this drier spring on the Red River.
Up here on the Red River, we had a spring with virtually no flooding. River conditions are perfect. And as far as catfishing is concerned, we're pretty much sitting here in neutral right now. We need some heat to get the big cats moving and get the pre-spawn run moving. Catfish are being caught shallow, more smaller ones than bigger ones. Finding them and locating them is probably more difficult than catching them. But with the perfect water conditions we're having over here on the Red, compared to the flooding this time of year, we have a unique opportunity to chase other fish. Walleyes are going, pike are going, I've even heard of some smallmouth bass going. So we have some other opportunities over here on the Red right now as we wait for things to warm up and the spring catfish bite to get going. We have very exciting things ahead of us with perfect river conditions. Lots of fish in the system last fall. It's just a matter of getting the heat moving this week and next week, and it'll be good to go here on the Red River.
Now, let's head to Leech Lake with Toby Kavalivog of Leisure Outdoors, who's been checking on some panfish.
Just got the new rig off of Leech Lake, took a little scouting trip out there to see what the panfish situation is. Leech Lake is a big lake with a lot of deep water and some shallow bays with shallower, darker water, so the water temps are key. The water temps in Walker Bay here are just in the low 40s. But I get into some of the backwater bays here up in the north end of the lake, and I saw water temps almost pushing 50 degrees with the sun out today. So it's really varying, but I did not see a lot of activity up shallow. The fish I ran into today were staging out. They're still in that deeper water, 8 to 10 foot deep weed lines. Pitched some plastics, you know, your puddle jumpers and little tube jigs. Did not have any bait today, just ran some plastics and ran into some fish. They're hungry, they're out there. They're just not quite ready to get shallow yet. You know, the water temps, I don't think the shiners are pushing up in Leech Lake yet, so forecast to a couple weeks from now, the walleye bite should be perfect. Everything should be moving shallow as those water temps get into the mid 50 degrees.
Thanks, Toby. That was a great report. Now let's head north to Lake Vermilion with Billy Rosner.
Lake Vermilion is well known for its walleye and muskie fishing. An overlooked species is a crappie. This year with early ice out and we got the late game fish opener, should be a perfect year to get out and chase some crappies on Vermilion. Get back in those bays that are facing south in the afternoon. They generally warm up the fastest. The thing to remember on Vermilion, you might be back in a bay and you're just not getting in any crappies, any action. Don't be afraid to move. You know, Vermilion's a vast lake, but you can move 6-8 miles into another bay. You'll find some active fish. Be sneaky, don't make a lot of noise, fishing them. Slip bobber with a minnow, little crappie minnow on a 32nd ounce, 16th ounce VMC jig should get the job done. Try some plastic also. So give those Lake Vermilion crappies a try. And if you really get into those fish, let those bigger ones go. That's really important for the resource to keep those in the system.
Thanks, Billy. Now, let's head over to Green Bay, where Brett Alexander has been hunting some big walleyes.
So we were out today. The bite was a little tough today. We had a half dozen big walleyes. There's a couple different walleye bites going on in Green Bay. The West Shore by Ocano and Peshtigo. Swamico is really good for numbers of fish. The Door County bite's been really good. Most of the fish up here are in that 25 to 31, 32 inch range. The tactics we're using for the big walleyes up here in Door County, we're throwing a lot of swim baits, hair jigs, and the Rapala ripping wraps definitely been a deadly bait up here. That's probably my number one. The days when the bite is tough, make sure you slow your presentation down. We caught most of our fish today just crawling hair jigs, basically just dragging them on the bottom. Those walleyes, they'll follow that hair jig, hone in and suck it right off the bottom.
Yeah, Brett, from my experience, Green Bay kicks out some huge walleyes in the spring. Now stay tuned. After the short break, we've got cool products and technique of the week as Angling Buzz continues.
Northland tackles in the premium hardbait game with the Rumble Crankbait Series. Available in 15 custom artisan colors. All Northland Rumble Series baits are handmade with a unique heat compression molding process that ensures unmatched durability and baits that run true on the troll and cast farther than the competition. You'll discover that walleyes and other species find their unique role in actions simply irresistible. You're going to want to up your game with these new cranks. Fishing is definitely better with balsa.
Like many of you, I've had back issues. From the pounding waves of Lake Erie.
To over 30 years of competitive angling.
And a lifetime on the water. but not anymore.
Smooth Moves changed the game.
It's a must-have for me and my clients.
It's like my boat is floating on air.
They're easy to install.
Fully adjustable.
It makes a day on the water a whole lot more comfortable.
Smooth your ride with Smooth Moves.
Lake Vermilion. Explore. Relax. Reconnect.
Minnesota's most beautiful lake.
Get hooked on our trophy walleye,
That's a beauty.
bass,
My favorite fish.
musky fish,
That's a beauty there.
Things to do? You'll never get bored.
Rooms with a view? We got 'em.
Lake Vermilion. 4 seasons of fun.
And now it's time for our cool products, brought to you by Fleet Farm. Well, today's show is all about crappie, and we're going to start with the X-Wrap from Rapala. Now, this is very popular, obviously, for walleye and bass, but these smaller versions, the size 4, size 6, excellent for crappie and triggering bigger crappie to bite. And some bright colors, more natural patterns in this, and this is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, if you want to find out if there's big crappie around, throw this bait. You won't be disappointed. And a few different jig options. We're going to start with Northland Tackle. This is the Firefly Feather Jig, and they come in really lightweight sizes. These can be fished with live bait or maybe soft plastic. They can also just be fished just alone on this. You still get a lot of action with just the feather here. Nice bright colors, great design to these. The Firefly Feather Jig from Northland Tackle. And also from Northland Tackle, this is their Impulse Smelt, and this is an 1.25 inch bait, flat-sided little jig on here that kind of darts, it glides, a really nice small profile that's perfect for crappie and other panfish. And our last jig that we're going to show here from VMC, the VMC Mooneye, this is available on the lightest end, 1/32 and 1/16 ounce. I use the heavier ones a lot for bass and walleye. And these smaller sizes for panfish and crappie are absolutely excellent for putting in live bait, fish them under bobber, put on soft plastics, and you can cast them out as well. Just a great line of jigs from VMC, the Neon Mooneye. Up next, a couple different float options, or if you want to call them bobbers. This is from Camel Tackle. Easy clip-on bobbers. This is the round shape. They also have pear-shaped, cylinder shape from Camel Tackle. And from Northland Tackle, if you want to get a little bit more high-end, you have their Light Bite Slip Bobber. This is great for low light conditions or fishing in big waves. And the way your line comes up through the slip and slide brass eye grommet on the top, you're going to see even the lightest bite, and it's great for strike, indicating when the fish are touched. It just kind of tips over to the side. This is the Light Bite Slip Bobber from Northland Tackle. And soft plastics, well, there's a lot of different soft plastics on the market for panfish. Kalin's makes some really great smaller ones. This is the Triple Tickle Grub. Grubs are great for a lot of different fish, especially these smaller ones for crappie. You can see the design on this when we flip it around. It has a lot of little action. It's going to have a lot of vibration in the water. Bright colors for crappie. This is a great addition to have in your tackle box. Throw it on any jig that matches up to the size of this. Just cast it out and reel it. And for nets, this is the Clam Panfish Fortis net. This is a nice lightweight net with a long handle. So this actually, 2 clicks there, this handle actually extends out and gives you a 65-inch reach. Nice deep base to the net here. This will work perfect for crappie as well as other game fish from Clam, the Fortis net. And when we are talking about crappie, they are delicious. I think we'll all agree, and having a good knife for filleting them is important. This is from Bubba Blade. This is the 5-inch Lucky Lou folding knife. High carbon stainless steel blade, also titanium nitride coating the blade as well. You have safety guards there and this non-slip grip. It also locks very easily and has a little lanyard hole in the back of it. Bubba Blade, high quality knives. Great for this size here, this 5-inch blade, great for filleting smaller fish like crappie. For reels, here's one option from Daiwa. This is a nice value option. This is the QR 750, nice low profile reel for lighter diameter lines. Perfect for crappie, perfect for panfish rods, and you get the Daiwa quality. Daiwa does have a few different models in their kind of value range, you know, $50 and under, and these are fantastic reels, and this is just one option, the QR 750. And finally, from AquaView, this is the Micro Revolution 5.0 Pro. This is a great all year-round unit. You can use it from ice fishing to open water. A high-res 5-inch screen on there, a 60-foot cord for the camera. It has a nice reel system to easily deploy and retrieve the camera. You also have a temperature sensor on there. And this is great for kind of seeing what's happening underneath the surface of the water beyond sonar. You truly learn a lot from watching fish behavior, seeing the structure, seeing the cover as well in HD. You can also record the video, upload it and show off to your friends, and just a great unit to have. And again, in the upper Midwest, you can use this all year round, the Micro Revolution 5.0 Pro. All these products and more are available at your local Fleet Farm store, as well as fleetfarm.com. Well, now it's time for our Technique of the Week.
So what we're doing here is I'm just driving around using my side imaging, looking left and right 50 feet. Like, that's the key. You never want to look too far out to where your image gets, you know, too small to see. And that's it. I find 50 feet and like 14 to 5 feet is like perfect. And all I'm doing is looking for fish first, structure second. So anytime you see a shadow or multiple shadows, you know, you can kind of figure that it's a fish. See, right here is what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I cursor over and blow that up, that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. That's a fish, that's a shadow, that's a fish, that's a shadow, that's a fish that's facing towards me. So it just looks like a kernel, and that's his shadow. So right there, 1, 2, 3, those are fish. So now I know that, okay, those fish are there. I'm gonna put a button on them. I'm gonna mark it. You see that showed up right there? And now I can come back to those fish. We can pitch bobbers on them and hopefully catch them. But that's what you're looking for when you're seeking out panfish during the early season and late season. Actually, pretty much all season. And you can see I got a couple more in there as well. Little things that look like grain or ice and the shadows behind you. With that separation in between these two, that tells you it's a fish. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly 9 and 10 in that school. So all I did, hit my mark button, dropped an icon right there, waypoint right there. Now I'm gonna exit out, right? See that? That's that school of fish continuing to go behind me. That'll give you kind of a visual reference point on what crappies and panfish look like on your side imaging hummingbird units.
Yeah, that side imaging is really amazing, especially this time of year. Without the emergent vegetation, you can really spot schools of fish off to the side of the boat. It's amazing. Well, stay tuned for next week's show. We're going to be talking about hot angling products. And as always, we want to remind you to help stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. Anytime you're leaving any body of water, remember, clean, drain, dry. Well, thank you for joining us this week. I'm Troy Linder, and we'll see you next time.